You ready, baby?
Yep.
All right. Hey, listeners. It's your girl, Amber, reminding you at the top of the episode to join our Patreon. If you click the link in our Instagram bio, it'll take you to a nice little link tree. And at the top of that link tree, you will see Patreon. We want to welcome one new patron to the party, T. Lee. Welcome, friend. Remember, patrons, we are doing a book giveaway, not this episode, but next on March 1st, I want to say. We're going to be giving away the book Black Leopard, Red Wolf, which we just read. So be sure to join that Patreon. You can give $1, $2. You can maybe even probably give 50 cents a month. We are so grateful for your long-term support. Now let's get started with the show. Welcome to the Sci-Fi Sci under the Believe Podcast Network. It's a podcast about Black science fiction and fantasy and staying on the same page in this marriage. Today for episode 73, we'll be discussing and closing up part 3 or series 3, as I've been calling it on Instagram. Series 3 of the novel Black Leopard, Red Wolf, written by Marlon James. So those are parts 5 and 6 of the book. We make it so that if you didn't read the book with us, you should still find a way to access it. But before we get started, Ben, you didn't put this in the outline, but I kind of want you to read it. Ben shared just a very beautiful quote written by Marlon James at our baby shower recently that he, Ben asked to get on the mic, which could go either way, as we all know. So when Ben asked to grab the mic, I was a little bit like, oh, Lord, what's going to happen? But obviously the whole room was moved to tears. And so, Ben, I would love if you could maybe just share, not the whole speech because it was a little lengthy, but, your love for me is lengthy. Could you just share the Marlon James quote part?
Yeah. So Marlon James just dropped the second part of the Dark Star trilogy. But the cool thing about this book, his trilogy, is that you can start with any book.
Oh, great.
It's non-linear.
I like that.
So you could read the next one, which is called Moon Witch, Spider King. And the Moon Witch is Sogalan. So it follows Sogalan's story, who is sort of the antagonist in Black Leopard, Red Wolf.
Right, but you don't need that if you want to. But it's a nice treat. It's a nice nod.
Yeah, so to get the full story, you have to read all 3 books, but you can start with the third book or the third released book or the second released book or the first released book. We're going to read them in publisher order, but
Gotcha.
You can pick up anyway. So the second book, it follows Sogalan's story. And here's a quote from that second book, which we are also going to be reading.
Eventually.
Yeah, so this is about Sogalan. And if toe falls off, she will run on heel. And if heel fall off, she will run on knee. And if knee fall off, she will crawl. And that's about Sogalan, but I said that reminded me of Amber, because Amber's just so stubborn, hard-headed, and would do anything, even if she lost all her limbs. She would, crawl.
That's not how you framed it at the shower.
I didn't.
You framed it as me being just strong and resilient.
Yeah, exactly.
And telling people how you are so confident that I'll be able to get through this labor. But if you would like to, stab me from the front, that's okay as well. Ben, how are you doing today?
Also, that's an Oscar Wilde quote.
I know
True friends stab you in the front.
True friends stab you in the front, and trust me, you were the truest of friends.
Exactly. That's what I said.
I see your true colors.
Well, actually, I wanted to see, because you're like a reading queen. You finished 2 books this week.
I did. The other book I read was A Good Man, or The Good Man. I think it's A Good Man by Ani Katz, which was very interesting. White author, but psychological thriller. I love one of those. It gives you if you enjoy the Netflix show, you will enjoy this book. But it was a novella. So for the first time ever, I was able to read 2 books at a time, which I hate doing, but you read 7 books at a time.
3, 4, 5,
and I was able to get it done. So it was really nice. And now I just started Michaela Cole's Misfits. It's just like a very small book about, the bad bitch that is Michaela Cole.
Yeah. And then, but A Good Man is actually a reference to the Flannery O'Connor short story called A Good Man is Hard to Find. And in that story, it's about a man who stops to rob a woman and her kids, and he ends up killing the woman and all the kids. So when I saw the title of that, I was like, I know where this is heading.
Don't spoil it for the people listening.
Yeah. Anyway, but it is a reference to a really beautiful, intense short story called "A Good Man Is Hard to Find." Everyone should read that. Very disturbing.
How's your week been? Because you had to deal with me, and I was in full panic mode this week, listeners, because my Instagram was hacked.
Every week you're in full panic mode, but this week was panic upon panic.
Which people will hear. I didn't even share that with my prenatal yoga class. Every week we stop and share like what we're going through that week, what's been stressing us out, and I just didn't feel comfortable sharing. Like my Instagram was hacked, y'all, because I would have had to explain like that would mean you
can't work.
Right. As a full-time creator, if I made a brand deal collaboration with someone and then my Instagram is hacked, I shit you not am out of thousands of dollars. So I would have had to say that, and then they would have been like, what? I don't understand. But yeah, it was hacked. It's back. It was kind of my own fault, but the hackers were very smart. So I'll get like in another world, I will hire them one day. These teenage children in Turkey.
Yeah,
which isn't even a stretch. It's some of my Instagram settings are still in Turkish, and I'm like, what the fuck does this say?
Yeah, so Instagram or hackers have a way of pinpointing the thing that you most want and then manipulating that. And so the thing that you
like
really
the Tinder
wanted,
swindler.
Yeah,
I got swindled this week.
Yeah, and you really wanted to get a blue check, and people know that. People know that there's this desire to get the blue tick.
It's not even that I really need this blue check to be successful. It's that Instagram has a process where you can apply for verification. I know sometimes like on the follower side, people are like, give sis her blue check, but it's actually not like that. You have to go in and formally request for verification and blah, 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 and submit all these articles and receipts as to why you should be verified. And then you have to wait for 30 days. So I did all of that about 30 days ago. And so I got an email saying like, we've reviewed your account. You have been accepted for verification. Like, please click on this form to accept your blue check, essentially. And so I guess these hackers found a list of people who have applied for verification and then did it, So I was like just moving so quickly and I was excited about it. But now I don't even care. Yeah, they can keep the blue check. I don't want it anymore.
I disagree that they found a list. I think they
But I did apply roughly 30 days ago.
But you have to think that these people are sending out mass amount of these messages,
but
and
the
it just
email
so
says
happened
like we reviewed your application.
Right. So of course they're going to say that, and so
I know.
So
but
you send it out to 100. Hold up, let me finish. So you send it out to 100 people, right? And 98 of those people were like, "Oh, I didn't submit for blue check. Blue check. Obviously, this is scam. Like obviously this is spam, so they just get rid of it. But you just happened to be the one where it sort of coincidentally." Worked, but they were playing with the law of large numbers. They were sending this out to hundreds and hundreds of people.
While I agree, sorry for trying to cut you off earlier. While I agree with you, there are some worlds where hackers can tap into certain email listservs of certain people. Like, you remember how, like, when we watched Firefest, like, everybody who had gotten scammed on the Firefest had been then getting emails from other companies. So they were like, oh, they probably sold the listserv.
They could have sold that.
So that's the thing that happens. But
I don't think Instagram is going to sell the people who were trying to get blue check. I mean, they could. That seems a lot less likely than someone just being like, let's just find anybody who's over 80,000 followers who probably most likely applied for verification and doesn't have a blue check.
It's so stupid. I don't want it anymore. They can keep the goddamn blue check. I just want to be able to storytell, and that's sometimes when I'm like, wow, I have been cut off from access from sharing my life with people and being funny and being a storyteller. Like, I've clearly lost it. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try to apply for verification in the future, but I don't give a fuck about it right now.
I think you should leave the business side to me.
Oh, you?
Yeah.
Oh, what? Please walk me through your credentials.
Yeah, I'm just saying that, maybe I would have been scammed. Maybe I wouldn't.
No, walk me through your credentials right now on the show.
I'm a closer reader than you.
You're a closer reader.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But any like experience in the field?
Oh, I know.
Experience? Any experience with creators?
I know that that we don't. We most certainly we don't have the press to get a blue check. Okay. Like, you submitted like a Yahoo News article. I'm like,
so I've been in Voyage as well with my yoga business. I submitted a couple of things. Wow. So let's be clear. My best friend. And the father of my future child,
I'm stabbing you in the front,
is not a supporter of mine.
I am a supporter. I'm just saying that
it's not that far-fetched that I would have a blue check.
Anyway.
You think it's far-fetched that I would have a blue check?
No, I think you
think you're
just
nuts.
haven't gotten the press needed to get a blue check.
I feel like there could be more press to be had, but I also know tons of creators that went viral once and have a blue check.
Right, because they got the press that was required. You don't.
Yeah,
have
but
that
they were
press yet.
also like, BuzzFeed's number 14 funny clip of the
Exactly.
week. It was also in the same realm.
But you haven't been BuzzFeed.
I haven't
14.
been.
So once you have to find a very reputable news source, and like Yahoo News, like a random Yahoo News, just the way this
Yahoo and BuzzFeed are like on the same level.
Maybe, I don't know.
It's all
anyway,
fake news.
Let's get into.
Damn, I wish you liked me. Anyway,
I do like you. I like you so much that I'm going to speak the truth to you.
I needed to be humbled this week. I'll give you that. But I prefer to be humbled by the children of Turkey than your motherfucking ass. Go.
Are you not going to go to Istanbul with me?
Never
now?
again. I'm too triggered.
The Hagia Sophia is like one of the wonders of the world. It's like this beautiful mosque.
No, I'm just gonna be on the street and being like prejudiced.
Go on the Bosphorus, which is like this
No.
beautiful river that separates Asia and Europe.
No, I now have bad blood
Damn.
with the entire country of Turkey.
All right, moving on. Let's get into these Apple podcasts.
Go ahead, read one.
This is the title of this one. It was written by Bust the Rear View, which is a joke of I bust the rear view mirror.
Yeah.
Anyway, what started as some admittedly unhealthy TikTok scrolling has turned into me discovering this thoughtful, intelligent, and eye-opening conversation, which now adds to my life in positive ways. I'm happy to know people like you exist and that you choose to share yourself with the world. # doing my part to reach 1K, because I did have a goal to get 1,000 reviews. So please rate us. It's super helpful.
That was so nice.
If we get 1,000 reviews, that'd be really nice. Just go in and put the button of 4 stars or whatever.
Thank you, Bust the Rear View. That was great. Great name. Great review. Keep going. Keep boosting my ego.
Highlight of my day. This comes from Love Leary. Love this podcast. Listening to you guys on my way to school or work is the absolute highlight of my day. It's always all laughs and smiles listening to Sci-Fi Sci. I love seeing you guys grow every day and can't wait for the new addition to the family. Love you guys and everything you do. Forever # team member. I got your back, girl.
Ouch. How does that feel? I bet Love Leary thinks I deserve a blue check.
I think you deserve a blue check. I just don't think you have the credentials yet. So you deserve it. You don't have the credentials. There's two different things.
Well, no. So either you're with me or against me, because me and Love Leary are together.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes, or that's this idea of seeing black and white, binary thinking.
So I'm not black and you're not white.
It's very queer.
So I'm not black, is what you're saying.
I didn't say that. I'm saying
so I'm not a black person.
To only see in binary.
It's the erasure
some binary. Some
it's the black erasure
are
during Black History Month for me.
Moving on. This person, honestly, I'm Team Amber if we come down to it.
Who is?
Me. I'm Team Amber.
I thought you were reading another review.
I'm mostly Team Amber.
I think this whole household is Team Amber.
Obviously. The household wouldn't run if it wasn't Team Amber. Because we have to feed your ego. All right.
And actually, literal belly.
Yeah. This is from For the Love of Contradictions. Yeah. True. I so enjoy turning into the Sci-Fi Sci
Tuning in.
I so enjoy tuning in. Listen, you mess up a lot and I don't interrupt your reading.
I know, but I've been told I don't deserve a blue check. So why don't you keep going?
I didn't say you didn't deserve. I said you didn't have the credentials. Deserving and credentials and proper channels. They're two different things.
If somebody applies for a job and you say I didn't say you didn't deserve this job, but you just don't have the credentials for this job.
Which is unfair.
Either way, your motherfucking ass ain't getting a job.
Right. It's unfair.
All right, keep going. Let me stop interrupting you. I'm sorry for the love of contradictions. We'll start again.
I so enjoy tuning into the Sci-Fi Sci podcast every week. I never used to be a big reader, but I've always been a huge fan of sci-fi, and hearing Amber and Ben engage in such authentic and raw discussions about books, movies, and life has sparked a new love of reading for me. Awesome. I've listened to every single episode from start to finish. I love the dedication to growth and understanding that these two share, as well as how they use their platform to highlight so many amazing Black authors, directors, and other creatives. Amber and Ben, thank you so much for what you do.
Y'all, don't get me the crying up in here. Oh, that's so nice.
That is really nice.
We love it. It is always going to be our goal to read Black authors and support Black artists, 24/7, because that's what Ben does in this house all week.
Also, this person said that they weren't much of a reader. And we have a really good friend last night who also said, "Oh, I'm not much of a reader." And
we're at a baby shower last night.
Yeah, at our baby shower. And I was like, "Yeah, but I know you read. Like, you're a comedian." This is our friend Chloe. And, like, obviously this person reads, like, scripts and memorizes things and writes things and, like, has her phone and, like, types things in her notes. So I know she reads. But I think there's this idea when people say, like, I'm not a reader, they're thinking about, like, I have a book in my hand every single moment, but I think everybody reads at some point, and if you read at some point, you are a reader. And I think when people say I'm not a reader, it's sort of they maybe unintentionally sort of close themselves off of like seeing themselves as more intelligent than they think they are, you know?
Yeah, I think it's just like a bit also. I think she's, as a comedian, it's like a personality trait. She's like, oh, I'm not a reader. Just stop talking to me about this book.
Stop talking to me about books. I'm not going to read it.
Which I'm into.
That's funny. Well, also, we got a really sweet Patreon message and from one of our patrons who said that they like went to the library and it made me so happy. I was like just to get all of Octavia Butler's works. And I was just so excited. Like if I could get more people to go to the library, because I've said this before, but I really think it's one of the few last strongholds of anti-capitalistic thinking. Like, you know, anybody can go to the library.
Yeah.
It's free. It's public. I was talking to a librarian though, who works at the library, and this person they were saying like, just be careful how fetishize the library, because sometimes there are librarians who are like, this homeless person smells, and they'll call the cops on this person, you know?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, right. Because, so I've sort of fantasized the library as like, you know, this free public, you know, beautiful health place. But even that is like, well, you know.
There are humans in there, so that makes sense that there's still foul
anyway.
Play. But I loved going to the library as a kid. Like my library in my hometown, Athens, it wasn't your average Joe. Like that shit was popping. They used to have puppet shows in there. Like it had multiple floors. I should take you the next time we go. I would love to go. Yep, the Athens Regional Library. Shout out. And also shout out to Jaleel, who left a really great review in our Patreon Street Messages.
That's who went and got the Octavia books.
Correct. Yeah. I just wanted them to know, like, that's you, and we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a private message, so I didn't know, like, if we should share private messages. I don't know. We can.
I'm so bad about that now. Like the lines of like what's private
because
and what's
you
public,
share everything. You share my junk to the internet.
Do I share your junk, or do you come home and strip off all of your clothes?
No,
and then hop in front of the
wasn't
camera?
talking about my. I was talking just.
No,
I wasn't talking about my body. I was talking just my junk. Like.
No, you talking about your.
No, I was talking about
the
my
internet
junk.
goes up trying to like look at your junk. Not trying to look at it, but sometimes it's just right in their face, and I kind of just let people gawk. People are like, respectfully, sis, I'm looking at your husband's penis. I'm like, you can, it's fine.
I wasn't referring to that. Actually, I was.
I know you were. You like the attention. Funny. There's a little bit of you that likes that. Like you like really like settling into this like. I'm the dad bod. I'm the guy that comes home and takes off his clothes.
I like to think that I'm a little bit more than a dad bod.
You're literally about to have a dad bod.
Yeah,
though.
but dad bod, like you can not be a dad and still have a dad bod.
Right.
Right.
I'm sorry. Oh, do you not like that I said dad bod?
No, it's fine. I got
a mama bod for sure.
Right, but I just got a gym membership, so.
So we should just unpack. You know, your whole like body stuff here.
We don't have to do that. I think we should take an ad break.
We should. I love your body, by the way. You know that, right? I don't want people thinking like
you're body shaming.
I don't need you at the gym. You can go if you want to, but
I like my heart. I like being able to breathe a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ad break.
Yeah.
Sex break. Ad break.
Ad break and a sex break.
All right. And we're back.
All right. So we are on the last 2 parts, and there's a 5-year time jump. And Tracker, when we meet him, he is on a fucking mission because he has finally, they completed their mission. They found the boy. They reunited the boy to the queen, who's going to fight her brother, the King of the North. And 5 years later, it turns out that the boy that they got is actually addicted to like vampire blood, is just a little demon child,
as one is,
and has run away. And in that event, Tracker has sort of finally found love with Mossy. So he's gone back and he's lived with the Minji children that he originally saved in the beginning of the book. But it turns out that the demon boy led Asaboam, who is this like flesh-eating monster that the leopard killed, and the leopard killed his brother in the beginning of the book. The demon boy has led Asaboam back to Tracker and has killed all of Tracker's children and killed Mossy. And so now
Tracker's children?
Yeah. He calls them his children, but not born of him.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right? Like the Minji, and he's named all of them. Like Giraffe Boy now has an actual name, and I forgot their names.
Yeah, there's a lot of motherfuckers in this
there's
book.
a lot of names, but the beauty of this is that even though he did not birth these children, and even though he's in a gay relationship, like with Mossy, like Mossy and Trackers consider these children their children.
This is a family unit. Yeah.
Yeah, and Asaboam goes and just brutally like consumes them and graphically destroys these kids that Tracker has raised, and has finally we think he's finally found peace, but you fucking dog.
No, go feed him real quick. Go ahead.
And I'm petting him, and so it's sort of that's it. So now Tracker is going to find the boy again, and the queen has actually hired Tracker to find the boy, and Tracker's like, well, if I find your son again, I'm gonna kill him, because the boy, you have to remember, who the boy without a name, who's supposed to be the king of the South and unite these kingdoms, he was raised by a fucking like monsters. He was raised by this like bug monster. He was raised by Asaboam, and he was raised by this lightning vampire. And so
at that point, he's not
not
damaged goods, as they say.
You have to understand, like, I think this book sort of deals with this question. And I've started to reframe our outlines a little bit, where we sort of start with essential questions.
I like that, just for people who've read and have it.
Yeah, and like one of the questions it deals, like, how do you deal with children that have, prefer sucking blood instead of breast milk, and have been raised by vampires?
That's the essential question today.
And they're just beyond well, the essential question is like, how do you deal with a child that is so traumatized that it seems like they're beyond saving?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've both dealt with children who fall in that bucket, and not at our own experience, like having those children. But I know, right? Let me not speak too soon. But we have dealt. I used to be a former high school teacher. You're currently a teacher, and you can sometimes just see it. You're like, what am I supposed? Especially in high school, you're like, you're fucking 18, like. I am so worried, and especially at the time I was teaching on the South Side. So you're like, you are a black teenager who has been failed by so many adults, and you probably might have like undiagnosed bipolar disorder, or you might have undiagnosed ADHD. But we're here at the end of the finish line now, and the behaviors that you are exhibiting are sadly gonna get you killed. And because this world is cruel and does not value mental health, especially in like young black kids, especially a lot of our black boys. And so I just remember, like, I kind of had to sort of distance myself from those kids. Like I used to tell teachers all the time, like, I get along with like batshit, like bitchy girls than I do so more than like these apathetic kids that just like destroy the bathroom for no reason. Like I don't even kind of engage at this point. I know there are tons of teachers and professionals in those buildings that are like, no, that's my favorite kind of kid to hang out with and to sort of like de-escalate and things like that. But it's very hard when you interact with those students, when you interact with their parent, because in many cases their parents, like, when I tell you we've tried everything, I don't even know what to do, Yeah. So I've had the privilege, honestly, of being able to walk away from my job as an educator and like from those kids,
Yeah.
Which is fucked up.
Yeah, I'm super grateful that this year there's no kid that I feel that way. Like even the more challenging students that I have, I've always had a really beautiful like moments of connection with them or support, or like I'm like take them out in the hallway. This past week kids watch Black Panther.
Encanto. Oh yes,
Black Panther.
Great.
Like History Month. But the reason we did that is they had just finished a pretty big essay, and so I was sitting down with them. And the essential question for the essay was, what is the role of police? And so I sat down with each one of them. They read their essay to me, and we talked about it and discussed. And even the kids who struggled, it was really fun to hear their opinions, and they were able to voice. And so I could grade them part by their essay, but also their speaking skills, right?
Right.
And so it was a really fun way to connect with students that way. And so I don't feel like I have any kid like the boy in, Black Leopard, Red Wolf. Thank God. The other question, though, is that how do you deal with tremendous loss? I think these last two sections deal with tremendous loss because we've really seen up to this point, Tracker is an entirely apathetic person. He's known for saying like nobody loves no one himself. Like he says he loves no one. And what we get reading these last two parts is that there was this missing 5 years where he has grown with these children. He's named them. He's actually built a home in like the boba tree. Mm-hmm. Like he's constructed this beautiful home, and that's all reminiscent. So he hasn't gone back to that. And so we just learn about it through him reminiscing, and we see that he's in immense pain. And so Tracker just goes batshit.
He does.
Axe wielding. There's so much
He's
violence,
killing everybody.
slicing.
If you give him some lip, you getting your lips literally cut off.
He goes to there's a place referenced throughout the book called like the Witch's Market. Mm-hmm. And he goes there to tracking this boy that sort of is responsible for the death of his family. And like at one point he and the Witch's Market, it's very common for witches to kidnap children and to sell them for body parts and stuff. And so he finds a witch that he like chops her head up and saves
like
this baby.
Literally axe to the back of the skull. And you're like
crush, like
and
gray matter everywhere.
I'm listening to the audiobook because I'm like washing dishes and then being like, if you can see this on YouTube, you'll see my face. Like,
it's super violent.
I like almost couldn't even continue washing my dishes because I would just see like all of this like pasta sauce that we had left over, and I'd be like, I can't even
pasta
finish
sauce
this because
noodles of
I'm
braids.
So pregnant, and now this book is talking about like I feel a shit cooking up right now, if we can be honest, because it was just so gory.
Damn. Yeah. So he at one point, the scene where I realize that Tracker has gone absolutely trauma-based like violence is when he finds this child, saves his child from a witch, and he's trying to find somewhere to put this child so he can go and contact this scientist in the Witch's Market to help him find the boy, right? And he like knocks on this person's house, and the person's like, yeah, I'll take the boy, but what's going to stop me from
selling
the child? And Tracker like grabs the man's hand and chops it off in front of him, and like holds his hand and holds his severed hand and says,
like, stop fucking playing with me. like you ain't, and I'm chopping off the other one. Yeah. If you sell this baby,
he's like, if you sell this baby, I will use this hand as your scent to track you down.
Yeah.
And I will cut your penis. He says, I will slice your penis.
Trigger warning.
Like a
bush skirt.
Like a bush skirt.
Into so many tiny pieces, like literally like shredded paper.
Wow.
Into a skirt. Talking about a penis now.
Yeah.
Horrible stuff. And you know what? Did you ever see Man on Fire? It's one of my favorites.
Oh, sure, yeah.
It's like when Denzel Washington is
Dakota
like,
Fanning.
Like a little white girl goes missing and all hell breaks loose.
And J-Lo's ex.
Yes.
Mark Anthony.
Yes. Not J. I mean, J-Lo's got a couple exes.
Yeah.
That's why that
was I guess it was too broad.
Right. J-Lo is my girl though. This is
Jenny
a J-Lo. This is a J-Lo loving podcast.
Who is not Mexican.
No, I think she's Puerto Rican.
Yeah, but she played one of the most famous Mexican American singers.
Yes. Are you trying to jump on that fight right now too?
Yeah,
go for it.
I think J-Lo should be canceled for that for what she did in the 90s.
He's kidding. If you're
I'm
new
totally
to the show.
joking.
But that is a fact. Maybe looking back, they should have chosen a Mexican American actor. But how did we get here?
Oh, we're talking
brain.
about chopping up penises.
We
into
were talking
tiny
about chopping up penises. Oh yes, it reminded me of Denzel Washington and Man on Fire because when PETA, I think it was her name, went missing. I mean, he went Pete. I don't remember her name, but he was like her bodyguard. I really do love that movie, even though I made a joke about like little white girls going missing. And in one scene, like he finds like the brother of the guy who captured her, and he just like shoots his hand. Like, you remember he, like, put his hand over... Like, he's placed his hand on the top of the gum and just
oh, yeah,
it.
I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, he fucked up a lot of people. Like, he put, like, that bomb in that guy's asshole. It's a really good one. If you haven't seen Man on Fire, it was one of my favorites for a really long time.
So, I think that the last two parts of this book is, like, Man on Fire meets fantasy.
Very
African
the Joker
fantasy.
a little bit, too.
Yeah.
Like, I got heavy, like, Heath Ledger vibes because near the end, Tracker's like, okay, the ethics have left the building.
I don't disagree. I'm going to disagree with you because this scene though shows that Tracker will do anything to save children. Like, and Tracker is telling the story, so he's constantly telling us like he doesn't care about anything. He, this doesn't matter. Anything.
The Joker's kind of like that.
But when Tracker says that, but he constantly makes decisions to save children. Remember, he saves that child from being raped from a giant earlier in this story. Mm-hmm. He saves this little boy, this baby, from a witch and from a man who threatens to sell the boy.
Yeah.
So
he's like, what is it? Chaotic good?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Look at me learning the terms.
From the alignments, the D&D alignments. Yeah, maybe. I think that could be helpful. The other thing, the big question they look at is like, how do you deal with betrayal? And so throughout this book, you have this relationship between Black Leopard and Red Wolf, and Black Leopard has the leopard has also been hired to find the boy who's intentionally ran away from the land of Meru, which this land is just bizarre. It's a land that encloses people and curses you so you can never escape.
There are many lands too.
Yeah.
Duolingo was one of my faves.
Yeah. Meru is fascinating, especially when the ground starts to rise up and there's literally like this weird physical blockade. So if you try to escape, it hits you. It says like no man can leave Meru. Anyway, Tracker, the Red Wolf, sometimes referred to, leaves to find this boy. But the queen has also hired the leopard as well to find the boy.
Yes.
And they have this conflict because, leopard is trying to, meet the queen's, service where Tracker's looking for revenge. And there's this level of like,
and they're also like exes, like
they are
low key. So it's just like, imagine if you and your ex were on like the same mission, but for different purposes. Yeah. And it's like, what you doing here? Like,
and they have that conflict, and it's I don't know.
You got ex conflicts?
Not anymore. Thank God.
Oh, when did you recently have ex conflicts?
Mm-mm.
Well, why did you say not anymore? Don't be coy now.
No, I mean, I think like, so in college when I broke up with the person I was dating, we still.
Oh, you broke up with him? Oh.
No, I think she broke up with me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just want to set the record. This is on the record.
I don't know if that was a conflict. There was a conflict where I was dating someone. We broke up, but we were still seeing each other. And then I matched with one of her friends on Tinder, who I realized wasn't really her friend, but I sort of knew. I was
Damn,
like,
did you fuck her friend?
No, because her friend like immediately stopped talking to me once we realized like that we knew the same people. And the reason we knew the same people was because of my ex. Would
the friend been a better match?
I think so.
We'll never know.
We'll never know. I mean, we never met up.
And then you met the queen on Tinder.
Yeah. Well, yes, I did. But then my ex was really upset at me. She's like, "Why are you talking to other people?" I'm like, "Well, because we broke up. We broke up.
I thought we were broke up.
I didn't know that. I guess there's like a G code or something.
Did you make it clear that y'all had broken up?
Yes. I was like, we're seeing other people.
Break up with me right now. Like, hypothetically.
I think maybe we should take a break and not see each other. I mean, maybe we can still have sex.
This is you breaking up?
Yeah, this is me breaking up.
This is what you said to her at the time?
I think we should break up.
Why should we break up?
Because we're just, like, we're going in different directions. I think, like, we're not really meant for each other. I think we could be good friends and we can have sex, but I don't think we should be together. I don't think we should be exclusive.
That's pretty clear.
Yeah, of course I'm fucking clear. I'm a communicator. I run a podcast with you.
You run it.
I do run it. I run this shit.
All right. You're pretty clear. But I mean, it's fucked up to be like, we can still fuck off, but.
Talk about not being clear. Are tree humans alive?
I think so.
Like, if you're a mixture of a human and a tree, are you alive? The only reason I say that is that when on Tracker's journey to get his revenge, he runs into this scientist who's like turned his wife and son into these like half plant, half tree type of things. Mm-hmm. And Tracker kills them. And I was like, oh, that's not really a big deal. Like, he didn't break his ethics of killing this boy. And
I thought it was a big deal, yeah.
Well, the reason I said that is because I was like, these are not conscientious humans. They are like being kept alive by this like weird ass scientist. For
those who need a little bit of context, because, you know, I like hearkening back to things that a lot of us understand, just in case you haven't seen the movie, or just in case you haven't read the book. I would liken this to maybe like, I don't know, the Weeping Willow in Harry Potter. You remember that scene?
But I think even the Weeping Willow had more consciousness than these two creatures. I
took it as the same thing. Like, really? That willow tree couldn't talk.
Yeah, but it responded. It had actions. These things were like, they were still. They weren't moving.
I thought they were responding. I interpreted it as that maybe I wasn't reading carefully. I mean, you know, I'd be singing to plants.
You have a history of not reading carefully, too.
Do I?
Yeah, the blue check mark thing earlier.
Can we keep going? Keep running this podcast. I think I've made a fool of myself. I admitted it, and I'm gonna that's why I'm admitting it here on the podcast where it's a safe space. Because if I admitted that, like, if I like try to do a YouTube video or a TikTok, like telling my story and telling people to watch out, I would just get dragged. You know.
Very true.
It would just be a freaking, you know, for shame. What do you call that? Like in the Renaissance era,
shame.
It's like,
the Game of Thrones.
Yeah, whatever it is, it would be that.
Shame.
Yes, I would be shamed. I might as well wear a scarlet blue check on my shirt while I get stoned, like a biblical whore.
So, if you've just flipping the page a little bit, sometimes we are enemies.
You and I.
Yes.
Yep.
But sometimes we make alliances with each other, even though we're enemies. So, like, when do you make alliances with your enemies? Like, what compels someone to make alliance with your enemies? Like, I think that's a great question that's asked.
Another
here.
Common enemy.
Another common
or goal.
A goal, right? So it's like you find the other enemy that's worse. Because, okay, the politics of this story is that, you know, reiterating, you have this Northern King, and then the Northern King has a sister who is who should be the real king from the North.
Lizzie Solo.
And then there's also like the South who are also fighting for the North. So the North has this internal conflict, etc. Then you have the king's advisor called the Aisi, who can control birds, and he's also referred to as the God Destroyer. And so Tracker and Aisi combine themselves together to find the boy who would overthrow the Northern King. And both of them want the boy dead.
It's like the time when I asked you if our Harley Quinn and the Batman friends.
Yeah, I think at times they are.
It's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah. Anyway, I love when stories do that, when two characters are pinned against each other and then you bring in a third enemy that makes these two people who don't work together actually work together. And I think that sort of reflects Yeah, it reflects. Yeah. So I think so our common enemy
is the mortgage, right?
Is the mortgage, but we're still enemies. And we constantly have that in the back of our head. And raising this child is going to be the ultimate evil that we both have to conquer.
Correct.
I hope this child is not a demon child that like sucks on blood.
Well, not even that. Like
prefers lightning blood, vampire blood.
My niece is just my brother and his girlfriend recently had a child in September, and so this child that they had is the happiest baby. And I love my brother, but he's kind of a fuckboy. So I was like thinking like, oh my God, now the stars are going to send us the fussiest little diva. Because Azuri is nothing of the sort. Like she smiles all day. She only whimpers slightly if she's pooped or needs milk, but she is a very content, very happy baby. And the minute my mom found out I was having a girl, she was like, oh, I can't wait. Because, me and my mom used to go at it in high school. Because she's like everything. It's just like, I got my belly button pierced and I got my tattoos and then I shaved my head. So we were just arguing all the time. And so now my mom's like, you're going to get a child that is going to argue with you day and night because you gave me hell that way.
I literally wrote in my notes for this book, children are the cause of pain.
You are so dramatic.
It's so good.
Speaking of, we might have to wrap up soon because we got a doctor's appointment and we procrastinated all day.
The last thing I want to say is that throughout the book, we never really talked about this, is that the griots have so much power, and there is an entire beautiful song in part 5. It's very short and it's very poetic, and it reminded me reminiscent of a lot of fantasy novels that throw in these long, beautiful songs, but it's all accompanied with the kora. And as I was reading this book, I was listening to kora music in the background. Mm-hmm. And everyone should just like go to Spotify, listen to the sound of a kora. It's It's Kora. Mm-hmm. It's so beautiful. It's the African fantasy equivalent, North African, for the most part. And it sounds like a lute, or it's maybe equivalent to a lute, because the lute and the kora. But I think the kora even goes farther back than the development of the lute. I actually don't know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. But in my mind, in fantasy novels, Western fantasy novels, you see people like going around playing the lute, but in here, people go around and play the kora. Yeah. And so definitely go check out the kora. It's absolutely beautiful.
And you would stop me like every 5 pages to be like, can we please name our second child Kora? I'm like, let me squeeze this one out and I will see.
Because The Legend of Korra is a great TV show. And then also it's an instrument, and I love the instrument.
So you want our child to just be an instrument that one plucks at all day.
I do. There's not a lot of physical things that I like to have, but I do love music, and I love playing music. I love playing the guitar, the electric guitar, my violin. I would love to.
Are you
learn
manifesting
how to play the kora.
a musician when you do things like name your child Kora with the music in mind?
I think I whatever.
I feel like we're manifesting a reader with the Oscar Wilde tribute.
But if some people just are not musically inclined, and there's nothing I can do to that. Like I hope to develop. I think anybody can develop a love of music, but not everyone can develop the ear for music. I think you can train,
or the throat for it, right?
That is very true.
Because you be trying to harmonize with me, and it doesn't always work out.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
It is, and what to quote you, it doesn't mean you don't deserve it. You just what did you say earlier?
Yeah,
you just don't have the credentials. You don't have the credentials.
Yeah, which is fine. And credentials are
you don't have the talent.
Bullshit. No, I didn't say that. You have the talent. You deserve it.
No, I'm saying that about you. You don't have the talent, but you deserve it. Yeah. That's what I heard.
That's contradictory.
That's what I heard when you said that to me earlier.
Okay.
I'm gonna name our second child Blue Check with hopes that we manifest. I'm gonna name our child Verification. It's gonna be like Vera, like Vera, middle name Vacation.
When you're when influencing is a lifestyle and not a job.
Oh, so stupid.
God.
How did we even get here? Like, this wasn't even a career 10 years ago. All right.
I have, we'll get into sighs. The only sigh I have is that if you not trust the writer, like, you really have to go into this book trusting Marlon James. You're going to struggle with this book a little bit.
Yeah, keeping up with the characters.
Yes, but that being said, the characters do loop, and the politics are reiterated. And there's like, for example,
the storytelling in that final part 6, like,
it summarized everything and reiterated.
Was recounting the tales to this other character whose name I'm forgetting, but
Nika.
I don't know if it was Nika.
Because Nika's memory was lost. Nika was this incredibly violent person, was turned into the vampire, which asks a really good question. Are you still culpable for your wrongs if you have forgotten your wrongs? Which is a question that people talk all the time, especially with the death penalty. If someone was mentally ill, someone who has a mental illness commits a terrible crime. Right. Because of their mental illness, they forget that crime, they're still killed. Anyway, that's another question the book asks. But I mean, read the book. It's beautiful. Yeah,
if you've seen The Pharmacist on Netflix, that got into a really interesting thing because like one of the ladies that like ran one of the like most popular pill mills was later like a week or two before her trial, she got into this like horrendous car accident and like her brain was, you know, she wasn't a vegetable, but she essentially like couldn't stand fit for trial. So it's like, great, what happened? You're culpable for all these deaths, but now you can't be tried. It was interesting.
Also, I'd be careful with using the term vegetable. It's dehumanizing. I think maybe say something.
Yeah,
I think there. Yeah, it's
probably fucked that up in the past. Yes,
that's okay. I mean, language is important.
No,
so just
thank you for checking me on that. Yeah, when your brain is
when you have a traumatic
brain injury and you're no longer able to function in the same capacity. I don't. How would I fix that? Fix that for me real quick.
It's not fixing. I think you addressed it. Yeah.
I didn't mean
describing a human as
people first.
A non-conscious, food substance. You know.
Yeah. No. Good point. Thank you for that call in, if you will. This is why we're together.
That's why.
This is why we're together. Ben and I actually do the checking of each other's language like all day.
We do.
So the internet, you don't have to, but you know you still will, and you should. Ben, with that being said, why don't you warp up the show?
In conclusion, Black Leopard, Red Wolf is about loss, family, and revenge. You will never forget this book. Whether you like it or dislike it, you will never forget this fucking book. Go ahead, read it.
And you will never find a friend like me.
Still a lot of life left for me.
Boo, you whore. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Sci-Fi Sci Podcast. Up next, we're going to be watching a movie. We kind of cheated on this. Womp womp. This movie is co-directed by a black man whose name is Peter Ramsey, but you know this movie as Into the Spiderverse, starring Miles Morales. Super black-centric movie, and because, you know, we've been talking a lot about Spider-Man, and if you've seen the new Spider-Man, it's really good. So we're going to talk about this awesome Spider-Man throwback. It was created in 2018. To be fair, also, what that note you pulled up, Peter Ramsey became the first African American to be nominated for and win an Academy Award for this film, best animated feature for Into the Spider-Verse. So I think we can review it, but there were two white co-directors. I'll be honest about that. So check out Into the Spider-Verse if you have not seen it, and we will see y'all next week for the show. Bye, y'all.
Bye, bitches.
Benjamin James.
I love bitches. I'm a bitch. Yeah.
Oh my God.